Hey guys, it's Friendly Cosmonaut.
And also Scary Moonchild. And we want to do another devlog and we want to talk to you all about the art.
And probably also just kind of the origins of the design and some of the iterations that we've had and the design choices that we've kind of made as we've gone along.
So I want to start with conceptualizing. How do we conceptualize the game?
So here's the thing. We would love to tell a kind of chronological order of design, starting from concept art, moving on to prototyping and stuff. That's kind of how everyone tells you to do it. But since it was a learning process for us, we went back and forwards so many times. We rebuilt the game 5 times. And honestly, the story came a lot later and the exact tone that we wanted came a lot later. And we're still iterating right now. So yeah, it's a bit all over the place.
I have to say, I find that so interesting because I remember when we started this, you were getting really into it. I was still at uni thinking what the hell, what's Cosmo doing? Why is she doing this? And you were like, yeah, let's make this game. And I was really excited because we do love playing games, but I was not excited about how little we knew and how little direction or certainty we had.
Yeah.
And you were like, just make some art. And I was very precious about my art then. And I was like, okay, I'll make some. And then I was like, I hate this. This is, and you're like, it's okay, you'll just make more. And I was like, F you, I don't want to make more. This is my art. It's the finished product. I was always like that. I always did my canvas in 1 hour and that's it. So having to do iterations, that was a learning process for me. And
I think, to be fair, when you start a project, one of the things that's really overwhelming is that when you start, you have a literal infinity number of choices and possible art directions and everything. And you might have some ideas of the style you want to have or the genre or whatever. And you'll slowly carve out some of your options. And really, you can't do that without just going ahead and making some, having a look at it and seeing if it fits with your style. And you'll keep kind of like a stone.
Marble,
you had an enormous,
marble.
an enormous piece of marble and eventually you'll come out with a sculpture. So you're sculpting away at it, chipping away. I bring that up because I find it interesting because now I feel more comfortable with what we're doing than before when we actually had more choice. I feel like once you start confining it, you start to see what your style actually is that you're going for. What exactly is the feel of your game?
Yeah. So I think that's why when you look at some of my sketches, you can see it's not really related to the game, but you can almost get an idea. There's mountains, there's this forest, there's this spooky purple sky and moon. This is me sitting there at the very beginning trying to come up with
some environments and areas, right?
Yeah, or just a picture in my head of what the world, the tone of the world really. That's kind of what I was trying to get at. So very simple. This was literally with pastels on a sketchbook. Very crappy drawing. Next one I did on my tablet when I finally bought a tablet. Just using I don't know, it was the stupid
one of the stock programs.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. It was very painty. But again, here's me trying to get the idea of the style. We decided we were going to have Scholar's Sanctum on the top of a mountain, which you can kind of see in the top of that mountain up there. That's supposed to be the building. Near the forest, which is, well, I think it's an unnamed forest still, but the creepy forest that you start out in.
So, and I'm tempted to say the Boggly Woods because this reminds me, obviously, of Paper Mario, which is one of the games that we're drawing inspiration from. So if anyone has played the Thousand Year Door, I love the feel of the Boggly Woods. And there's another area that I feel...
Yeah, Twilight Town. There's another forest actually in the previous game.
Oh,
anyway.
Maybe that's the one that I'm thinking of. But yeah, it's the kind of forest where you get lost. So, and again, like Zelda's
The Lost Woods.
The Lost Woods. Yeah, okay. So just somewhere where it's really, really easy for you to get lost. And that is the kind of feel that I wanted for our forest.
Right.
I think it's very classic to the game genre to have a forest like that, but it also links up nicely with some of the metaphors that we wanted for mental health, as getting lost. That's the area that Sprite starts out in as they're having their mental health crisis.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing about we wanted to start off in this area. This is why, obviously, this is what we started drawing and making first, because this sets the tone of the game. So this is actually a really important area. and we wanted to obviously get this right.
Right, so a lot of the iterations that you're going to see are us, like, redoing this forest area, or you redoing this forest area, more like.
So go to my sketch. So I started off, again, it's funny, when I started, I hadn't done art on the computer before, so I wanted to include some of my really crappy sketches, because when I was going to do a painting, I would always sketch it out first a few times. So I thought I would do the same as I was trying to learn how to draw on the computer. So here's some crappy sketches. You probably can't make it out, but you can see there's a figure walking through the forest, and then there's layers of trees in this other one. I'm just trying to build up the environment in my head. And here's just, some things I thought. At that time, I was really obsessed with mushrooms, so I wanted to include mushrooms in it. Trying to draw some easy to draw plants, whatever, that kind of thing. Trying to get the style out. There's lots of different styles here.
And even just commenting on the plants. So you took, like, these are real plants.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you took them from, so obviously there's some Australian ones in here.
Oh, no, I'm not sure. The only thing I can remember is obviously those Monstera leaves, which I don't think is Australian.
But yeah, I mean, you were choosing a bunch of plants from a bunch of different regions just because, again, this isn't really supposed to be any particular place.
Yeah.
We're just combining stuff from different inspiration
It's definitely
sources.
not like, you wouldn't find these plants in a forest. It doesn't really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly the mushrooms.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
It's a weird forest.
This is a world that seems familiar but is not possible, that sort of tone.
So to start off with, this was the earliest kind of GIF that I could find of the game. And I made this all the way back in December of 2016. So this was right when I actually started learning GameMaker, I think the second month or so that I was learning. And this was just kind of a demo project for me.
Yeah, there was no plans really.
Yeah.
It was just for fun, but you can trace it back to here. This is all like your art, right?
Yeah, this is all my art. So this is all
I love the character.
Thank you.
Very ghostly.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I had more of a ghost game in mind. We didn't have any of the original story.
So does that mean that you came up with the design for
I'm going to say
sprite?
yes. Yes.
I don't think you did. I thought I came up with it.
No, I think right there is the evidence. 2016. Could you find anything earlier than that?
Mine's not really dated.
Well, then that's your problem right there. I would win in court. Too bad.
No, but I do remember thinking it up. I remember thinking up, like, I want it to look...
I think you copied me. But you can see kind of what I was doing, and obviously I have a lot of text up for debugging purposes, because I was still getting a handle on how to do depth. And this was actually in GameMaker Studio 1. So I had it set up like an RPG because that was kind of the tutorials and things that I was trying to accomplish with this kind of idea. So I have some jumping kind of in there because I originally thought that, I don't know, our game might have had that. But we've gotten rid of all of that.
I think jumping is an interesting topic because like everyone loves to jump and like when you start up a game, you like try to jump because you're like, and when it works, like, yes, there's a jump.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we have no use for a jump, really, like that I can think of. Like, it won't be adding much to the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And as much as I love the jump function, it won't really add anything to our game, so we don't have it. And then next was when I dragged you into actually doing the art for me because I was not prepared to do any of the art. I am not good at art. And this was, again, a bit more updated. A few months along, so I was getting better at doing dialogue and everything. I love the parallax in this.
Yeah, like, looking back, I actually kind of like this aesthetic. Obviously, it's still pixel art.
Oh yeah, and this was me trying to do a walk cycle. I think this is my first walk cycle. Look at it.
I don't think it's that bad. No, I don't know. It's stylistic.
Yeah, it's okay. It is. It is a bit. It's obviously, pixel art. I love the little bugs we've got. Oh, I remember doing those.
Yeah, and we have some rain and like the
rain's pretty cool. Look at the particles on the ground too.
That was me learning how to use particle effects. So we're starting to have some of the ideas of what we wanted it to be, but it was kind of just like art.
Yeah, but you can see us trying to build the tone of this game. Obviously, it's a little bit spooky and mysterious, and we love purple.
I think that must have been early 2017. So initially I was kind of intent on doing pixel art because I thought it might be more it might be easier for us just because it seemed simpler at the time, simpler to learn.
Yep. I did not like the sound of pixel art, let me just say. I much prefer the idea of like being able to freehand draw a line, and the thought of making pixel art, like it looks cool, and all the old games, the nostalgia from the old games, I love the style. And especially like as I've come to learn, pixel art takes a kind of precision and purpose and patience that doesn't fit as well into my art practice as I would like. So
yeah, so
anyway.
Fair enough. So we decided that it would be maybe unsustainable to do pixel art.
Anyway, let's move on to the next. This has just got like some of the early assets, and I actually think it doesn't look as good as the pixel art version, just in terms of evoking a style, but still, this was our 2D style, and also
First go at it.
Yeah, I think I was using Spriter to animate here.
Oh yeah.
So first time animating, terrible at it, took me a million years to learn it. I'm still so not very good at it, but
gotten better.
hopefully
Yeah.
getting there.
So you can also just see some of the doubts. That was
Right.
something that very much by this point though we had kind of established like the key elements of the story and what the mechanics of the game were actually going to be about. So we were going to do a story-based game, but we were going to have turn-based battles kind of like this. And
I think we'll probably go into these
Yeah.
more in another devlog, because there's a lot to say about these. But, we're trying to come up with a style. I think we decided that we would have this kind of cute little pixel grid in the middle, and then on the sides we would have a more detailed drawing. You
Yet
can
to
see,
come.
obviously, I haven't drawn those yet in this iteration. But sitting there, the most detailed drawings in the game will be the big drawings of the doubt and of Sprite here. At least that was the idea.
so you can see some of the updated art here.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think the interesting thing about having a different style in this game section
During the battle.
the style intentionally changes because it's supposed to be very obvious and salient. Like, it's supposed to be like, where have we gone? It's a bit weird. This is on purpose. This is an intentional choice. And I just wanted to say that like, I always think it's interesting when games change their art style. I think there is usually a reason. And I always love it, honestly. It changes the tone, the feeling.
And actually, so this does bring up another influence of ours, Madoka. So especially not so much
Necessarily the art style, but the movement.
well, no, not the majority of the anime. It's the scenes with the witches when you go into one of the witches' minds.
Right. And there is
nightmares.
this amazing change in style. The tone and feeling completely changes. It becomes much stranger and much darker and just odd. It's almost like...
So it becomes
it's like a dream.
collage. Yeah, it's like a dream.
Collage art. I also like the snappy kind of...
The puppetness.
The puppetness and the quick changes of more detailed drawings, and they just, instead of smooth animation, it changes like a frame really quickly. And I actually really like that. And that's kind of why we've kind of got that in the battles. But
and on the kind of puppet nature, just as something I think that is, like we said before, familiar movement, but in the, not quite like Uncanny Valley, but it's puppets
strange.
move really in a very creepy way.
Another huge influence is Coraline. Definitely just the strangeness and the oddness of the world in the movie, and of course the book. The book is obviously, you have to come up with it in your head, but I think it's quite descriptive, and it is strange, the descriptions. But obviously in the movie, it's an incredible world that they create, the colours and the kind of movement. Again, that's that sort of strange movement that seems kind of realistic, but it's still a little bit off, that I think makes us think this is odd. That I think is appealing. But we've got it's a little bit dark and dreamlike in a way, a little bit realistic, a little bit familiar, but then can't be real kind of feeling.
I think I also really like in Coraline some of the dialogue, because I find the things that they say really strange. Like they respond to things in kind of a lyrical way sometimes. They just use strange phrases and words, and I really like that because again, it's this thing that
It's not real.
Yeah, it makes you realize, oh, this isn't quite reality. I'm in a strange other world. So, like, we wanted to find techniques to let the player know, just because of the
potentially triggering nature and content in the game,
Yeah.
we want it to be separable. We don't want people to
actually be negatively affected. Like, I hope we can make it obvious that this is a game or this is metaphor.
Right. Because look, it's a dark
It's potentially a dark.
it's potentially a really dark subject. It's a serious subject. It is odd and strange, and we are odd and strange, just humans. And when we're talking about the mind, you know, it's odd and strange, and we want to put this dark sort of feeling to it. And I think that's dangerous when we're talking about this subject matter. So yeah, we do want to protect the player a lot. Like, this is a thing we've thought about a lot, particularly in the battles, which I really would like to discuss. But it's also very important with the art, because I don't want it to be so creepy that it's scary. I just want it to be odd, to feel a little bit off, to be a little bit creepy.
Yeah, and honestly, we didn't have to go down the route of making it a sort of dark game or a sort of unnerving game. We could have spun it in a positive light, and to be honest, like, there's lots of stuff in Coraline and our other inspirations, like Zelda, everything, Undertale, Mario, like, there's beautiful things in all of those games that are also influencing us. I know we've talked a lot about the dark stuff, but there's a lot of beauty in this as well, in fantasy and in myth.
I think just this sort of tone, I just love this tone. Like, if it's done well, it's actually quite almost relaxing, and you can kind of let go. And if you know that you're safe, I think it's quite relaxing.
Yeah. I think another one for the feeling of something that kind of is dark but is beautiful is Life is Strange. And also something that's very heavy on dialogue and character relationships and growth and everything. The way that game is able to create, like, a feeling throughout the whole game, like with the lighting, with the warmth, but then juxtaposed with the serious content, the serious life events.
Yeah. And the strangeness, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just, and I don't know how to say this, but it's so you can, like, manipulate.
Yeah. I guess when it comes to games, you're taking the player along. You're like, you are trying to manipulate them, make them think in certain ways, make them realize things, lead them in the wrong direction, and then lead them to the right direction. Mm-hmm. You're kind of, look, I think what you're doing is you're taking them from the starting point through a story, and then at the end point, you're trying to get them to realize something, your message, whatever it is, if it's just enjoyment, whatever, but you've taken them from the start to the end, and you want them to be a little bit changed by that point.
Yep, and you have to realize that all of these elements are important, like the colors that you use, the style that you pick, the dialogue, the phrasing, like all of the intricacies in writing dialogue, and then of course the music, the lighting, everything is going to come together. And as you change that throughout the game, it's going to change different moods, you know, different music for different sections, different dialogue for different people. These are all things that you have to consider. Hey guys, this is Editing Cosmo here. So we ended up recording for a lot longer than anticipated, around the hour mark, so I decided it would be best to split this discussion into two. So if you want to hear more discussion about art and design, specifically how we have put all of this inspiration and thought into practice throughout our own iterations of the characters and the world art, then feel free to check out the next video. So I'll see you next time.
And also, this is Scary Moonchild. I'll also be there. See you!